Hello everyone, welcome to another fun video. I have another really fun sneak peek for you. This is coming out on January 7th in our brand new mini catalog that will be released. This one is the For the Books bundle. This is great for all those book lovers out there and in your life. The stamp set is really cool. It has lots of different images. You can make some really fun card fronts with it or bookmarks. I love this one from the library of, so you can make sure you stamp all your books if you're one that likes to loan out books. This is a small die set for this bundle, but the dies are really amazing, and I'm going to show you especially this one, and this one today. This one looks like a little comb, but I'm going to show you how adorable it looks on a project. So the project we're making today, we're actually making this little calendar. It stands up on somebody's desk. I love to make these this time of year. In December, I always make an entire stack of these. I like to make them for my daughter's teachers. I make them for my team members. I make them for my customers. I like to mail these out with catalogs. So if you got a catalog from me, you probably received one of these with your catalog. But the calendars are always just so useful to have, and they are always such a big hit. I get asked about these every single year. Will you be making the calendars again? Will you be making the calendars again? So this year I was super excited to use that For the Books bundle. I think that it really lends for a good sentiment. So you can see the die cut book there. We're going to make these little tassels. That's what the little comb image is for. I'm also using, grab that stamp set. I'm also using another new stamp set for this little heart here. This one is Hugs for Love. This is a punch bundle also coming out in our mini catalog. So I'm using that little heart there. Okay, so let's get started by making this. We're going to start with the base of this. I've made these every year, and I think I share a video every year with my calendars. So they're all similar. They're all pretty much the same, but I love decorating them. So the base is just your standard card front. So it's 4 1/4 by 11. I scored it at 5 1/2, and then I'm going to add a little support inside, and that just helps it from like sliding down and opening flat. This keeps it standing up straight. So if you do want to write a message, you'll have to write it on the back. So I have a piece of Berry Burst. I'm using Berry Burst for my base, and I have another piece for my brace, which is 3 by 4, and I just scored it at 1, 2, and 3. So we're going to give that a burnish. So you just want to fold it zigzag. Now I've made a ton of these, so I'm probably going to go a little bit fast, but you're just going to fold it, back and forth. You can either make an M or a W, whichever way you want to look at it. You want to use a super strong adhesive, so I'm going to use my Tombow glue for this. And on the outside of one, just make sure that your center point is going up. It honestly doesn't matter too much. That's just my preferred way. So I'm going to make sure my center point is going up. I'm going to open up my card, and I'm just going to put this on the bottom inside. And I'm not putting it all the way up against the bottom. There's probably like a 1/16 of an inch border down there. I'll hold that up so you can see. So it's not all the way onto the bottom, but pretty close. And then we're going to put adhesive on this side, just a little bit going across. I'm going to gently hold that closed without getting glue all in my fingers, and then go ahead and close that. And that is going to be your base that's going to keep your project standing up. So it should look like that on the inside with that little peak going up. That's the way I prefer to do it. Honestly, that little brace inside, if you put it on upside down, it's not going to matter. It's going to work the same way. Okay, so let's start decorating the outside of this. Let me bring this in so we can see what we're doing. So I have a piece of pretty Peacock that is 5 3/8 by 4 1/4, so just an 1/8 smaller than our front, and we're going to build on top of this. I'm using a brand new DSP. This is, I don't want to get the name wrong, Beautiful Bokeh. It is a gorgeous DSP. Now I've already used quite a bit, so let me just grab my full sheets out of here. But there's beautiful bokeh patterns, some watercolor patterns, and you're going to get these in so many different colors. Just gorgeous, gorgeous paper. So this is coming in our mini catalog as well, and you can shop for that starting January 7th. And that is when Celebration will be launching as well. Let me put this away real quick. But if you're seeing these products and you're like, well, I need to have these products now, then you can always join my team. You can actually add these products into your starter kit and get them now. So if you love these products, you don't want to wait till January, there's a link to join in the video description. You can join my team at any time. You can put these in your starter kit. All right, so the DSP piece is 4 by 5 1/4. Yeah. So that was just a smidge smaller too, just a 1/16 inch smaller. So you're gonna have a very thin border around that. I have another piece of DSP. Now this is the same pattern. This one is 4 by 3/4, and I'm gonna use the opposite side as a little contrast there. But before I glue this down, I'm going to grab my greeting piece. Now, I've already done my heat embossing. I heat embossed this in white on Blackberry Bliss cardstock, and this is 4 by 1, and we're going to adhere this down. So I'm just going to put a little bit of adhesive on the back. This is just going to go on the bottom, or our DSP is just going to go on the bottom of that. I want about 3/8, half an inch border showing for that DSP. So pretty cute. Let me straighten that up a little bit. Looks like my DSP is just a hair long, so I'm going to trim that. All right, and then this can go right onto our little pretty peacock DSP piece. And I'm going to put this toward the top, maybe like 3/4 of an inch from the top. We want to make sure we leave plenty of room for our calendar on the bottom. So just like that. Now I have a little piece of pretty peacock cardstock that's going to be the mat for our calendar. And for this, I'm going to use a super strong adhesive too, because the calendar is a little bit heavier than just cardstock. And so I want to make sure that it can hold the weight of that calendar. Plus people are going to be tearing this off, and I want to make sure that this stays nice and secure. This pretty peacock piece is, let me check my measurements, 3 1/4 by 2 1/2. But check the measurements of your calendar, because you'll want to just make sure that it fits your calendar. I get my calendar from Tailored Expressions. They come in, I think it's a 10-pack or 12-pack set of 10. So I get these from Tailored Expressions. I will link to the ones I use in the in my blog post. So if you want those, you can get those. They are really inexpensive, and they make amazing gifts. So I'm going to do the same with my calendar. I'm going to use some strong adhesive, and I really love liquid glue for this because you can really maneuver it to where you need it to go. And we got our calendar ready to go on there. And we're going to stick this on with dimensionals to the front of our base there. So, and I'm going to go a little bit heavy with the dimensionals because this whole thing is a little bit heavier with the calendar on there. So I'm going to use quite a few dimensionals, and you want this to last the whole year. So take time to really put that work in, because you don't want it to fall apart in July. But they are such good gifts. I know that lots of people look forward to getting these every year, which it's just so much fun. I love doing them, so I love hearing that people love them as well. Okay, so that's our basic calendar. So the only thing we need to add here is our book. So let's work on the book. I've already die cut the pieces for the book. So I have the heart, and I did have to fussy cut this heart. There's no die or punch that will fussy cut that heart. So I heat embossed that in white on Blackberry Bliss cardstock. So it's gonna match our greeting. The book I die cut out of Pool Party. There's some little pages down here, this little white, basic white, and that will go on the bottom of our book to make it look like the pages of the book. And then for the little tassels, I have Fresh Freesia, Berry Burst, and Pretty Peacock. And so I die cut all of these pieces out of those 3 colors. So let's get the book starting to put together. So I'm going to use liquid glue and just put a little bit just on the bottom where the pages are going to go. And then we'll just line this up down here. Liquid glue will give you that time to maneuver it around and get that on there. I'm going to use a dimensional for our heart. So I'm going to grab one dimensional. We're going to stick this on. And this will go right on the front of our book. And this heart is so perfectly sized. All right, I'm going to zoom in so you can see what I'm doing with these tassels. They may look a little bit tedious, and it honestly depends on your dexterity on how tedious they might be. I'm going to show you a couple different ways to do it. I'm going to use my bone folder first, and I'm just going to break up the fibers just a little bit. You don't want to pull too hard because you don't want to pull the tassels off, but I'm just going to break up the fibers, and that's going to help it roll up. So I'm going to start with just starting at the back here and just starting to roll. Now, if you have some dexterity issues, I'm going to show you on the next one how you can better do this. Now, once you start getting it going, it actually goes pretty quick. So once I get it about halfway, maybe a little bit more than halfway, I'm going to take my liquid glue. You can use glue dots as well. You can if you have a really thin tape, you can use that as well. You just want it to be super strong. So I'm just going to keep rolling this. And the liquid glue I prefer because it gives you time to kind of maneuver it. And so if it's not completely flat, you can kind of mess with it a little bit, and it's going to give it a super strong hold. So there's one of our tassels. So we're going to let that completely dry before we kind of fluff it up a little bit. So I'm going to set that one aside. Now for the next one, I'm going to show you a little bit of a tip if you don't want to just use your fingers. So I'm still going to break it down with my bone folder. I'm going to grab some reverse tweezers. Our embossing toolkit actually comes with reverse tweezers, but I do not know where mine are. So I'm going to use these little Fiskars ones that I have. And I am going to just grab the end of it. And then you're just going to kind of twirl the tweezers around. And you're just going to keep going. I actually find it easier just to use my fingers, but if you don't want to use your fingers, you can use the little tweezers. They do help. Once you get it going, you just kind of keep twirling it with your tweezers. And really, once you get it going, if you've broken down those fibers, it should just continue to roll up. So we're going to do the same thing. Once we get to about halfway, I'm going to put some glue on here. And you can put glue on the whole thing if you want. I don't really feel like the inside really needs to be held down, because once you get that outside secured, the inside just kind of, it stays. Okay, so we're just gonna, I like to roll it just between my fingers like this, just to make sure that glue is nice and adhered to all portions. And so there's our second little tassel. They're tiny little tassels, but they are so adorable. Now this one, our top tassel, I want to have a little string coming out that we can put behind our book. So before we start rolling it up, I'm going to break it down. Break down those fibers. This is a really important step. If you don't break down the fibers, the paper is not going to want to roll. So make sure you're breaking down those fibers. But I'm going to take a glue dot and I'm going to stick it on one corner of it, whatever. Oh, well, that one wanted to tear. Let's get that glue dot. There we go. So I'm going to take a glue dot and it's going to be stuck on the corner that we're going to start tearing. So I have it, or start rolling. And I'm going to stick the string on here. Now on my first one, I actually put the string through all three of the tassels. That started to get a little bit complicated. So I figured, you know what, you're not going to dissect the card, or you maybe shouldn't dissect the card to see if the string is through all of them. So I'm just going to put it through the top one. So, and that I found that to be much easier. So about halfway there, we're going to grab our liquid glue, just put a little bit on there. And we're just going to keep rolling, and that glue dot's going to hold that string in place. And just keep on rolling. And because we broke down those fibers, it really just rolls up easily by itself. Okay, perfect. So we have our three little tassels ready to go. I am going to grab a dimensional. So we're gonna put this one first, and we're gonna fluff them all up, don't worry. But I'm gonna kind of line up where I want that one to go. I'm gonna pull my string to the back, and I'm gonna hold my string in place with a dimensional. Just like that. Now if you have any extra, go ahead and trim that off, because I don't want that to pop out or show behind. So I'm just gonna trim that off. You only need about maybe like an inch of the string, but you'll want to get a little bit bigger piece just to be able to kind of hold it while you're rolling. All right, now we don't want this to flop around, so I'm going to use glue dots to hold this in place. You can use liquid glue again. The glue dots I found are really good to hold these in place. Now I'm going to be strategic about where I put my glue dot. I'm going to find the seam back here of my tassel, and I'm going to put the glue dot right over the seam. That's going to do a couple of things. That's going to help keep that seam completely closed, but it's also going to be prettier from the front when you adhere that down. So I'm going to adhere that one down, get it nice and stuck. And once it's completely stuck, then you can get in there and kind of fluff up that tassel a little bit. Like that. So you get that tassel nice and fluffy. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing with our berry burst one. I'm going to find that seam, and I'm going to put the glue dot right over that seam. I'm going to lift it up with my scissors so we don't rip it. And I'm going to place it down really close, if not completely inside that fresh Freesia one. And once it's on there, go ahead and fluff it up. Just grab your scissors or grab your fingers and just kind of fluff it a little bit. You can see how cute this is. Now you can do as many tassels as you want. I went with 3 because I like odd numbers, but you can do as many as you want. So let's find that seam. There it is. And we're gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna find another glue dot. I'm going to make sure that's nice and adhered to the glue dot. And I'm gonna lift that up and then adhere that down. Pull my scissors out. Make sure that's nice and secured in there, and then go ahead and fluff up your bottom one as well. Okay, so there's our little book with those little tassels. Aren't they cute? And so you can't even tell that the string didn't go through all 3. You just assume it did because that's the way it looks. All right, let's put some dimensionals, finish putting dimensionals on the back of this. I'm gonna go ahead and put 1 on each corner. We'll peel off the backings. So we are ready to adhere this. All right, there we go. Dimensionals don't want to play today. All right, so let's bring back in our holder or calendar. Let me zoom out just a touch. And this is just going to go right in that empty spot right next to the greeting. Just make sure you get all of those dimensionals sticking. And your little tassels are right there. Isn't that adorable? All right, one more quick finishing touch. I'm going to use our Purple Fine Shimmer Gems. These are in the annual catalog, and they're also in my online store. You can shop for them there. Grab my Take Your Pick tool. And I'm going to use 3 of them just to add some extra sparkle. Not that it needs it. You can definitely leave this part off, especially if you're making a ton of them. I made a bunch in a bunch of different colors. And so the purple doesn't go with all of them. But if you have a gem that matches, you can absolutely use it. So that is it. That is the little stand-up calendar that will be a fantastic gift for anyone this time of year. So if you have any questions, please let me know. If you love these brand new products and you want them now, go ahead and click that Join Now link in my in the video description. If you have questions about joining, please send me an email. I'd love to answer any questions you have. Otherwise, these products and along with our celebration brochure will be available starting January 7th. Thank you so much for joining me. If you are watching this on YouTube, please subscribe to my channel. That really helps me out. And I will see you guys in my next video. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.